Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and I'm joined by Tim Pachote, the Liberty Advisor, and we're going to go through a quick report today because, of course, the election, the results are changing by the second. I wanted to go through a few things, even though I do know this is a complete cult holiday and is completely pointless to your everyday life. I want to bring up a screen share here of what we see happening right now as I report on this at 8:23 a.m. Pacific time. It says 238 for Biden and 213 for Trump. Now, I want to keep in mind that they're calling a lot of states for Biden when it's like 50% full, and then saying that Trump hasn't won certain states that are 75% counted. So obviously this is extremely, extremely skewed. And this is one of the things that we've been talking about for a while here is election rigging. And we see this out of the state of Wisconsin around 6 a.m. You just see this bounce in Democrat votes that doesn't seem like mathematically possible. And the same thing goes for Michigan. So there's definitely going to be a lot of debate about that. In fact, there already is. We have people like Donald Trump last night came out middle of the night, says, frankly, we did win. Trump declares election victory despite unclear results in key states. And he called it the biggest fraud in history, what we're witnessing right now. Joe Biden also said he's basically won. So we're on track for definitely kind of civil war kind of attitude. We've known this for a while leading up to this election, especially with all the lockdowns on top of everything. It really feels like that is the case, and the news has perpetuated it or pushed it forward. Proud Boys leader, one of four, stabbed after he was jumped by BLM in DC. One of the people that was stabbed, actually, I think two of the people stabbed were black, by the way, from the Proud Boys. So that's interesting. And of course, we have riots in Portland, and they're burning American flags. And they said, no matter who wins, we lose, which is something I can't actually disagree with them on because I'm a voluntarist. But anyway, I can't say I've ever agreed with them before. But Tim, quickly break this down. We see everyone says that it's almost impossible for Trump to win, but really, and you've been pretty much on the page that Biden's going to win. I've been like 60% Biden, 40% Trump for the last little while here. But Biden needs to win like a wall of all the states that the Democrats won last time in order to win. What do you think of the results so far and what's going on?
I mean, a lot of it's actually played out similarly to how I thought it would, that you would see basically the Democrats in the end of, middle of the night, magically have all this, BS happen. And all these public opinion polls and all these polls that showed Trump getting killed, all these national polls don't matter. I mean, all that really matters is what a few people in a few counties and a few states think of. So all these national public opinion polls, it doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in the battleground states. I was early on saying that Mark Kelly of Arizona, the liberal, would end up beating Martha McSally, which everyone here in Arizona is like, oh, that's preposterous. Well, that happened, overwhelmingly, might I add. Now, I do think it's going to be a little bit closer than what they what are leading people to believe in Arizona. But, all they need to do, think of it in 2016. I made the case in my Ann Acapulco speech. I had like 2 minutes at the very end. I was rushing this and said, listen, in 2016, they thought that Hillary Clinton, who should be in jail right now, but she's not. It's only Trump's campaign people who ended up in jail, MAGA, 4D chess. But what I was saying is if you think Hillary has a 98% chance of winning and you're part of the deep state, you're not going to risk all these felonies to have to. They didn't think they had to rig the election. I mean, they still rigged it a little bit, and obviously a lot in 2016, but they didn't rig it enough. And this time, they're not taking any chances. And so that's why we're seeing all these shenanigans, like the Pennsylvania Attorney General coming out a few days ago and saying, we're definitely not going to be declaring the winner, at any point on that night. And so they're trying to cast these seeds and sow these seeds of doubt. That's why
that's a lot of Democratic leaders. Thing, Tim, is that even the district attorney. I forget which state it was. I think it might have been New York, but they said that we won't allow Trump to win. I mean, like really, it's gotten to the point where it's blatant fraud that's happening. And again, I'm a voluntarist. I think
Nancy
people
Pelosi
should rule
too.
themselves. I don't buy this whole cult holiday. I don't buy all this nonsense. I don't believe in extorting my neighbor for the greater good of the greater number. But with that said, like when we're talking politics for the sake of the news here, look, we have all these people, all these states that are openly defying. I mean, they stopped counting votes. A bunch of machines broke down, and then they're counting votes after the fact. And I mean, it's just it's blatant fraud. But we do see Pennsylvania, it looks like Trump's going to win it. The fact that they haven't called that, but they'll call other states at like 40% counted, where Biden's like 2% above him. I mean, it really goes to show where we're at right now. Google is really spoofing this and making it appear like Biden won, and he could have. But the point of the matter is that it's very, very, very deceptive. So going forward, how do you think people are going to react to this, Tim? I mean, it looks like we're on the verge of a civil war. We're basically already in one. And at the same time, we have the censorship of information. BitChute went down at the same time as Gab last night. And, YouTube's all manipulated. Twitter and Facebook are correcting the president's tweets about winning or not winning. I mean, this is crazy. Where do you think this is going to lead as far as, the civil unrest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said civil unrest instead of civil war, because I don't really know what the distinction is. But you can see all these seeds being sown in the media for so long. So last night I was driving home when Trump gave that talk and decided, okay, I'm going to turn on the fake news and see what they have to say about this. And they were in panic mode and saying, this is the darkest day in American history, and I never would have thought I would have seen an American president, openly, defied democracy and proclaiming that he's the victor, and I've never seen such tyrannical rule. And it was just like, and every single station, it was just having a conniption saying that this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the country on probably, all the top stations. And I never watched Fox News. I was at my friend's house last night. He was watching Fox. I mean, I never watch any news. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I mean, Fox, at this point, what is it going to take for liberals or for conservatives to realize, which, basically same thing, conservatives to realize that Fox is also fake news. It's run by Lachlan Murdoch, who is an Australian liberal that's friends with Alexander Soros, who, pals around with Hillary Clinton as a Hillary Clinton bundler. And, that's the big conservative news. And I've often said that Fox News is the most dangerous for conservatives, because at least MSNBC and CNN, that's fake. And what they do at Fox is they get you about 90% of the way there, and they Judas coach you at the last second.
Well, that's called a limited hangout. It's a COINTELPRO. It's basically controlled opposition. Basically, what they're doing is, it's a CIA term, limited hangout. Limited hangout means tell you a bit of the truth, but not the entirety of the truth, to distract you from the entirety of the truth, so you don't take action on it. So you have CNN and Fox News playing you against each other on both sides, manufacturing the belief systems on both sides, because most people are out of their own comfort just repeat after me, Simon Says. So they clash each other together and misdirect people from the real enemy, which is the government.
And now let's go to Donna Brazile over at Fox News. I mean, come on. I mean, Donna Brazile at Fox News. I mean, this is like, are we the big conspiracy theorists over here?
Well, on the bright side, Tim, it's pushing people towards the alternatives. And I hope people join us on the alternatives, BitChute, LBRY/Odyssey, as well as Float.app. We've been completely taken down off YouTube for daring to think about the news this year has been coronavirus. It's been George Floyd, and it's been the election. And I mean, none of those stories you can talk about. So I think at the end of the day, everyone's kind of moving away from Fox News too, as well as CNN. But I do believe we are facing insanity that's been manufactured by the media. At this point, I have no doubt that it's going to be people clashing together like the Civil War for their form of collectivism, their flavor of collectivism, and no one wins those wars. The only people that win, are the victors of these wars, are the government, one side or the other.
Goldman Sachs.
And usually they're both the same anyway. So anyway, I wanted to make this quick, but we will continue covering this as it elapses, and maybe we'll be doing another video later today as this elapses. But nonetheless, I appreciate it, Tim. If you want to become a client of Tim Picciott, he is a certified financial planner. So go to thelibertyadvisor.com. Check those links below. Bunch of links for you to check out. I didn't do any fancy editing job on this video because I just had to record it raw so I could get it up as soon as possible. But anyway, thank you for going into this with us, Tim. And we'll be back with much more from World Alternative Media. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson and Tim Picciott signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.